Let's get in the lane, Cage. You haven't done one of these kickoffs in a while. I have like
Listen,
10 minutes to spare if you want to kick us off.
okay, so we're going to kick it off today. We're kicking it off. I am in Andrew's head today, folks. I even decided for the first time in 362 episodes that I would wear a white shirt, knowing that he was going to wear one. We're the white shirt crew today. It's
Yes, we are.
nice. It's nice.
You don't wear shirts like that. You don't wear just like white shirts. You always wear
I don't.
graphic tees
No, I always have
from
graphic tees. I have some
1967.
color. I have like they're supposed to look like they're from 1960. They're faded, but I have some gray and blue solids. This is just a solid white shirt. Running around today. I figured I'd put on a shirt on. Sorry about that. A little cough there. But yeah, kickoff. Let's see. Crazy stuff in the hobby. Seems like a little lull this morning in kind of like the hobby lunacy, hobby craziness. The soccer on right now. And
There's a lull on everybody except for Lameme James, who's just firing off meme after meme that's just top notch.
So I love them, and a lot of Thanos stuff, a lot of Infinity Stone, a lot of snapping and nothing happening, a lot of pulling the golden auctions out of Vision's head. I mean, just real top notch stuff. But I want to know the message behind it. Like, is he saying that that Nat is a mastermind? Some of them seem to be like a mastermind with fails. Like, I wonder whether or not when he puts these together, is he trying to communicate that this grand design is going to work or fail? Because Thanos didn't exactly succeed.
I'm not a Marvel guy, so I don't know. But to me, I think what I've heard is like Nat was one of us, and now he's just this giant monster who owns the entire hobby. He was a collector at heart.
There are many different subtle. So I've used this a bunch of times. I think it was in Ghostbusters 2. A pretty terrible sequel that probably should never have been made. But in Ghostbusters 2, although I love the bad guys in that, Vigo and Johnny, where are you from? But like the positive slime stuff was just silly. But anyway, in that, Sigourney Weaver's trying to clean up Bill Murray's apartment. He's got like laundry everywhere, and he's like, "What are you doing with that?" And she's like, "Well, is it dirty? Did you wear it?" He goes, whoa. Just because I wore it doesn't mean it's dirty. There are many subtle levels of clean in laundry. It's not just clean or dirty. There are subtle levels. So when you say us, I would like to say that there are many subtle levels of us. And I don't think that when Nat looks at the majority of the hobby, he would call it us. There's probably an us that he would, accept as his us, but I don't know that I am in it, or most of us are in it. So, but yeah, I mean, it leads to a good question, right? So I'll throw it out there to you because I don't want to make this a golden auction. It's a golden auction day or whatever day we talked about. We beat the hell out of that yesterday. But, and by the way, love the comments. Keep them coming. We got some great comments on YouTube. Got a lot of great messages about the last couple of episodes. We did like a real honest look, realistic look at the hobby 2 days ago, and yesterday was a real honest look at some of the pitfalls potentially there in this Goldin PSA merger takeover combination. So if you haven't listened, check those out and let us know what you think. But I'll ask you. You're right. You went into it and you said Nat is a collector. And I remember when his group bought PSA, everyone was like, "Well, it's good. It's somebody who understands the plight of collectors. It's a collector who's going to be at the helm. It's somebody okay, great. Win one for the team here. Strike one up. It's one of the good guys who's going to be able to take over." And I'm not blaming him. Obviously, I'm not saying that he really has anything to do with this. But since he took over, PSA has closed, raised prices, stayed closed, raised prices, and now. You got this Goldin PSA, merger combination, and I hear less people saying, "All right, it's great. We got a collector involved." I mean, you just said it. So you think it's a good thing? Do you think it matters?
I think there's a large group of people that hang on every word that PSA or PSA spokespeople say. Because if you think about it, man, PSA was the cash cow for so many people, right?
It's true.
How many people's lives have been changed in the last 12, 24 months just by buying cards, going to shows, buying cards, buying them off eBay, sending them to PSA, flipping them, and making some good money. Really good money, Cage.
Yeah.
And now with that not there and PSA making all these moves, I think people's curiosity is peaked. And then they hang on every word that PSA says. And I think that's a little bit of the lull today, too. Like if you guys see on Instagram and social media, there's not much going on with cards today. It's very quiet. Maybe it's the holiday. Maybe
long weekend, people moving.
Long week. But it's interesting. It's
Can I tell you what I was doing for the last 18 hours, feverishly?
Tell me, top
I was,
shotting. I want
yeah,
to talk
I
about top
was.
shotting.
I was
I
top
wanted to.
shotting.
I want to talk about Top Shot because it's interesting. When we say something's dead, it's only dead till it's alive again, right? And when there's these dull periods right now of kind of uncertainty, you start to think, why not deploy a little bit of time, effort into Top Shot? So tell me, what have you been looking at? Were you buying Series 1?
Selling.
Selling?
But you know why selling? Because I don't like to go into my pocket for money. I have my investment into Top Shot. I have moments. I'm basically transitioning moments, selling probably too cheap moments because they have a challenge that ends today. I mean, at 1:00 today. It's probably as we're talking, it's ending.
Yep.
And I needed to get my last one engaged. I did the Hollow challenge because I don't know if people remember this. I bought a Luka Hollow. That was one of my first big purchases, Series 1. And they made Luka one of the challenges for Hollow Series 2. So the most you could have is 99. They'll probably be closer to 50. The Durant one that just happened was 61. So it'll definitely be less than the 99. It'll be, pretty sought after because of that. And there was a pretty decent sized bottleneck in it. You have to collect 9 hollows. LaMelo Ball was one of them. And that was going up at seven and change. The rest of them, Cole Anthony, Sadiq Bey, and, Van Vliet, Chris Middleton, nothing, spectacular in the remainder of the list. But last week's with Durant, Zion was in it. So that was a pretty decent sized bottleneck too, and 61 people still completed it. So there are definitely still people who are involved in this. I saw a stat that as of yesterday there were only 8 people who had finished the Luka one, but I think as of this morning there were 44 before I finished it. So more than 50% will complete this. And really what I'm doing, it's just fun. It's just I'm taking a shot. If 50 people complete it, I got a 2% chance that I get serial number 1. I get a really cool serial number on the challenge. So it's just a little gamble, just a little shot. I think also I did the math on how much I was putting in and what I think the Luka is going to come at, and I think it's positive EV, based on what I'm spending, and especially when I'm not really spending. I'm converting other moments into.
Would it surprise you if you saw another Top Shot run up heading into the fall before NBA season?
No, because that's what happens, right? Check out the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts, right? I mean, it doesn't just run up. There was, what was it, 2018? There was a nice little run up, and it came back down, and then it ran up again. That's what happens with these things, especially the stuff that has staying power. A lot of these NFTs, they're gonna see that big run up, and then they're gonna have kind of like a plateau period, and that plateau period, it's gonna be whether they can survive. Whether they can keep enough people engaged during that plateau period and not let it completely fall off to nothing, and then I think you see another run up there, right?
I'll tell you, I was at the family wedding, and we were talking about sports cards, sports, all these things that are going on, crypto. It's all kind of it's money, right? We're really just talking about money at this point. Everyone just wants to get rich. People don't know much about sports cards, but people know about Top Shot, and they've wanted to get in. Some people couldn't get in because they stopped allowing new accounts. Other people were like, I felt like I missed the mark. But I would say 20-30% of the people at the wedding knew about Top Shot and were curious and interested in it. So there's something to be said about that, Cage, because I don't know if you guys know this, Top Shot cut off marketing. They stopped doing any promotion, any marketing. They didn't even let new accounts on. If they open that back up and as get off beta, it's going to be interesting to see what can happen, right, Cage?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a million things you could do. Look, I mean, everybody kind of learns from each other, right? Gary did his V-Friends. And everybody out there knows how I feel about that, right? But Gary, you did the V Friends, and anybody who got that got 3 invitations to 3 straight VCons. Well, what's to stop Top Shot from having a Top Shot con? Where if you have X number of collector score, you automatically get in. That's your ticket for it, or having a booth or a challenge or something at the National. It's probably not happening this year, but maybe it's next year. Who knows? I mean, layering in utility and stuff like that. It definitely is an interesting thing, and you're going to see the whole NFT space evolve. I still do believe that 90% plus of the NFTs that are being created now are going to become zero. I think that there is a universe of some. It's kind of like crappy altcoins, right? I mean, there were so many people were creating, every type of altcoin in the world, and 90% of them are not going to go anywhere. But there are going to be the Bitcoins and the Ethereums and, the Litecoins and, Doge. We'll see what happens. But, Doge Lite, whatever it may be, right? So I don't want to get too crazy into Top Shot because it's not really me, me buying into it as a collectible still again. And I will tell you that it was not the easiest thing in the world to switch from the moments I had to the moments I needed because you have to try to liquidate, and that involves undercutting. And the method that they have there is still not the best method for selling. They still haven't implemented any kind of an auction, any kind of a make an offer type thing. Like there are so many things that people have been saying now for the better part of a year would make the user interface, or like you like to talk about UI UX, right? So there are so many changes that I think are relatively easy for them to make that they just haven't made. And I think it would really help the brand and help the user experience if they did. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't want to.
What do you think of the Hawks Bucks game yesterday?
Man, I mean, we talked about it 2 days ago. We said we're going to know what the Bucks team is made of. We'll see how they come out and talk about coming out 30-10. I mean, Brooke Lopez woke up. He stopped checking out the fresh knucks and wheezing the juice. And he was an Encino Man. That's his brother, the Encino Man. Actually, Robin Lopez is the Encino Man, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? The Brendan Fraser movie with Pauly Shore. With
Come on now.
So anyway, yeah, man. And they just came out and they said, you know what, we're gonna do this, right? And it's I still think it's a pretty even series, right? Because the Hawks did the same thing last game. The Hawks came out. They were home. They started off on fire with no Trey, and they basically led for the entire game. And obviously they didn't take their foot off the gas when Giannis got hurt. It's interesting because both of the teams have lost their stars. I hope
it's a little like a preseason game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So anybody who's betting on this and says, "Oh, I knew it," she just has to be quiet because nobody who was making a pick in this series was picking a Treyless Hawk team and a Giannis-less Buck team.
Giannis was walking around pretty well.
He looked good. He looked
right?
good. He did. I was surprised when I was watching the game. I saw him on the sideline. He had no brace, no cast, no air cast, no no nothing. There was no. He was just kind of like street clothes. Looked fine. So I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are playing. In the next game. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but they both look like they could go. I mean, Giannis, if they make it to the finals. Giannis got to Willis Reed that thing. I mean, one of my friends was actually saying he said Willis Reed that S, but G-rated. So I'll steal that quote.
What does that mean, Gage? I don't know what that means.
Willis Reed. You know who Willis Reed is? So the Knicks were relevant at one point in time, not during the 90s when they just couldn't get over the hump and couldn't beat the Bulls or when they lost to the Rockets in the finals. But Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, the 70s teams, for the Knicks, Willis Reed got hurt. And he came out of the tunnel and kind of like just, when he only played for, a little short amount. This was before I was born, by the way. But it's like one of those New York sports moments that lives in infamy. He came out, got the team was like, wow, look, our injured star is coming. He's going to play. He's going to gut through it, and got the crowd all whipped up and in a frenzy, and the Knicks wound up winning, even though he really didn't contribute. But if Giannis if there's a way for him to limp out there and just like start off the game and get the team going, I do it mostly because he may never have a better chance to win a title than what they have right now.
Do they need him in the next game versus a depleted Hawks team?
No, they don't need him to win a title at all. Actually, I think that this team shows they could win the whole thing. But if I'm Giannis,
no, they need him to win the title. Do they need him to win Game 6 versus the Hawks?
Listen, I think they can win Game 6 versus the Hawks, and I think they can beat the Suns without him too.
That's crazy.
I am not sold on the Suns.
That's crazy.
I am not sold on the Suns.
Well, there's nothing to be sold on. They're a very good team. Are they a great team? They don't have a true superstar, but they're a really good team.
This was a very weird playoffs. I'm not siding with LeBron. But the injuries played a huge impact in these playoffs. And the Suns were not immune to it, too. Obviously, they played without Chris Paul for quite some time, right? But
four of the last 4 teams have had injuries to their best player.
I mean,
Kawhi, Chris Paul,
the Suns
Trey, and Giannis.
The Suns have had what I would consider a pretty easy road. And they still had some difficulty with a Kawhi-less Clippers team. I mean, the Clippers, Clippers gave them a series. Paul George is Paul George. We talk about him a bunch. I just, look, this will be the easiest chance Chris Paul ever has to win a finals too, win a championship too, right? He's going to be playing against a Bucks team that's got an injured Giannis at best, right? So, I just, normally you get to this point and you're seeing super teams. You're seeing teams that are playing great together. I look at the Suns and I'm like, all right, really? I'm supposed to be afraid of what, Ayton? Everybody's seen his dance video. I mean, I got better moves than that, right? So.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Do
Man.
you?
Forget about it.
When's the last time you went out dancing, Cage?
Well, we don't go out dancing anymore. It's not Saturday Night Fever there, John Travolta. You dance, at the appropriate time. But, I don't make plans to say, hey, let's go out dancing. That's, it's an interesting.
That's not what you do.
No, I don't make plans. I'll go out to a bar. I'll go to a bar. We'll get a drink. And if there happens to be some country music on there,
I hear you're a big fan of a Cuban.
I like Cubans. I'm a big Cuban cigar. But you look, if country music's on, somebody plays some good country music on the jukebox. I'll get in the line. I'll kick up some shit.
Can you believe we're on episode 360, Cage?
Yeah, 361, I think, but plus the pilot.
Oh, you're adding in the pilot.
All kinds of stuff, man. That pilot. I listen to that pilot every now and again. And I'm like, what the hell were we doing? And you know what? We haven't changed the goddamn thing. So
no, not really. But Luka Nation. So you're not going to see any ads run on our shows. You're not going to see any on YouTube switching over and running advertisements. All we've done, all our growth has been word of mouth, and our sponsorships are able to provide free content for you guys, for us to do this every single day. We're approaching a year. We're not quite there, but just wanted to say thank you guys. Thank you. And all we ask is if we do a good job, please share.
And guys, let us know what you are.
If we don't do a good job, don't share.
Yeah, let us know where you are. Let us know what we're doing. I mean, we'd love to, as the world opens up, start meeting some of you guys. I mean, I get, we on one of the groups I get invited to a show in Boston this coming week. That might be difficult the same month as the National. We're thinking about going to the National. That would be cool to meet some of you guys there. I'm going to be on this coming Tuesday, July 6th. I'll be at a Bleecker trading event. So they have another trade night this Tuesday, July 6th. Star Stock will be in the house doing their Star Stock breaks. And maybe, just maybe, I can convince them to let me break some product for them. Just, be there and be involved in the break and kind of, narrate and that kind of stuff. What do you think?
What's your dream box? What's your dream box to break?
Oh, dream box is different. I mean, I'd love to break a box of Prism just because it's fun, it's easy, there's enough packs, there's enough hits, there's enough color to keep it interesting in every pack. You know what I mean? You got, as a breaker, you got to take a lot of that into account. People say, I want to break an 86 Fleer box, but that's a lot of packs, and not every pack has a Michael Jordan. You got to go through those and be like, oh look, Kevin Willis. It is, it is what it is, right? But same thing with 80, 81 tops. I would love to break that box and look for go magic bird hunting. But I can't pronounce the names of everybody else's Jack Sigma or whoever else is coming out of those boxes. I don't.
What about a 96 Topps Chrome?
That would be cool. I mean, listen, honestly, I'm a nostalgia guy. I think that's what brings a lot of us back to to the hobby. That's what keeps it fun in the hobby. So if I were breaking a box, just to really have the inner kid in me come out, I think I'd love to break a box of 92, 93 basketball. A Skybox box from Series 2 that has Shaq's rookie in it and those inserts. Maybe get some draft picks. An Ultra box from 1993 looking for a scoring king. And pull out the rookies. I remember the rookie was 1992 basketball with Shaq. That was fun. I opened so many packs of that stuff. I think I could probably run through most of the 92, 93 draft class by team. You know what I mean? I think you picked 10 or 11 was Adam Keefe to the Hawks. Pick 8, Todd Day went to the Bucks. Harold Miner. I'm I remember it still. We're talking decades ago because I opened those packs. That would be fun for me because I would remember that. Baseball wise, I'd love to open 87 Tops because it's cheap and no baloney. You guys want to watch it? Let's get an 87 Tops box. I will eat every stick of gum. I'll eat the gum. I don't care that it's 35-year-old gum. I will eat the gum. Tops gum, Tops gum never goes bad. But I would tell a story with every one of those packs about how look, we pulled a Paul Molidar. That's a great card. He had like a 30-something game hitting streak that year, and like an idiot, I was trading away all my Mark McGwire rookies for Paul Molitor because I thought his cards would be worth money because he had a great hitting streak. As a kid, I didn't know how this worked. So those would be fun breaks for me. Obviously, give me a 61 Fleer and let's look for Will Chamberlain cards. That would be kind of cool too, right? But 52 Tops. Anybody got a box of that around?
Are there? There's definitely not, right? Like they don't have boxes of that.
Every once in a while, I see like these Christmas rack packs come up on eBay, which I don't even think are real. I think they're just repacks. I don't think they're real. I don't think anybody actually sold those. That's who knows. But yeah, I mean, guys, so we'd love to start as we are getting out there. We'll start, hanging out with you. I'll let you know if I'm going to shows. Andrew will let you know where he's going to be. And, you now know what we look like. We're on YouTube. Take a look. Go watch the video and you kind of come on up, say hello. Maybe the last time somebody did that to me online for a card show, I gave him a Top Shot moment while we were standing in line. Here you go. Top Shot moment.
What a guy. Let me give our Luka Nation a play that I'm really, really excited about, and it's someone that I've never been a fan of, but he's been playing well in these last 2 games for the Hawks, and I think this is an interesting play because this is not a play that I actually want you to hold during the season. Yeah, I don't want you to hold this play during the season.
He actually, for glimpses, he actually looks like he might be able to play. He also looks like he's 12 years old, so maybe he'll grow into himself. He's young.
He's young. He hasn't played since February, and sometimes when you have a injury when you're this young, that's kind of longer term, it wakes you up a little bit. You realize nothing's guaranteed. I could be out of the NBA in 2-3 years. I think let me give you context. His Prism PSA 10 is $40, $45, $50 now. A Prism PSA 10, okay?
Wow.
And Cage, what's interesting is take a guess how many PSA 10s there are. That's the same class as Zion, RJ Barrett.
Yeah, I don't know, a couple thousand, maybe 2,000.
2,500. That's exactly right. 2,500 10s, 2,500 9s. So not like you're seeing a Luka 17,000, Zion 16,000, 2,500 at $50 a pop. So it's a tiny, as we call, market cap on this guy. And he's tall, he's long, he's the same size as DeAndre Hunter with a longer wingspan. So I see him playing the 3 and 4 position next year. His cards have been beaten up. He's played well. I think they're going to be eliminated next game. I don't see them making it to the finals, but even if they do, I would wait till the season's over and buy his cards in the middle of the summer. This Prism PSA 10s, you could go for the silver, but the silver is $300, where the Prism PSA 10 is $50. I would stick to the base there because there's not a ton of pop, and I would take a look at this guy. And honestly, I think this is going to be a $75, $80, $90 card before next season because let me read you guys some of the free agents that are on this Hawks team. You got Tony Snell, Lou Williams, Chris Dunn, John Collins, Solomon Hill, Brandon Goodwin. Some of these are restricted. Some have a player option. John Collins is restricted. But I think what they're going to need is not another guard. They have Bogdanovich. They have Trae Young. They're going to need a 3. And I think you're going to see Cam Reddish have a real opportunity to fight for that 3 spot. And there's one more thing. Why is he playing so well right now? He has fresh legs. He hasn't played in 4 months when everyone else has been beat up. He's going to come into next season with fresh legs. And I think if you have the option to sell before next season or you hold it to that first 2 weeks, first month of the season and sell into that, you're going to be able to make a play. He's impressed me when he's come back. And sometimes I'd like to see a young kid get injured because maybe they're going to have that chip on their shoulder. They're going to appreciate how lucky they are to be in the NBA, and they're going to work in the offseason and come into next season popping off. This is a bet I would make with Cam Reddish.
So a couple things. Normally, I want to give you a pushback on it, right? I remember when he was drafted, everybody said this is a 3-person draft. This is a 3-person draft. It's Zion, it's Ja, and RJ Barrett. Obviously, everybody knew that was the ranking, that was the order. Mm-hmm. But leading up to the draft, people were like, all right, number 4, Cam Reddish is pretty darn good too. He was on the Duke team. He might be a number 1 pick if he wasn't playing behind RJ and Zion. Mm-hmm. He could, he'd be great. He's athletic. He's young. When there were games where the 3 of them, RJ, Zion, and Reddish, were all playing together for Duke in that 1 year they played together, Reddish would lead the team in scoring often. He was very, very good when given a chance. He was very, very good. I like that. You're laying the terms of the play out there, right? Like buy it now, buy it in a little while, buy it in the off season, and you can flip it. Yeah, man, Reddish. The only negative I have is I know I have Reddish stuff at PSA. Like, I know there's a bunch of those coming back. You know what I mean? He was in that Cam Johnson, Brandon Clark, Darius Baisley, group where everybody was just sending them all in.
The second tier,
Yeah.
the Tyler Heroes. That's why when you know something like that, and this is where experience, because we give plays, but it's not just the play. It's how do you make the play. You could do dollar cost average. So you could, let's say you want to invest $500 into Cam Reddish. Well, you could just buy one a week for 10 weeks. You could also do that, right? Because there's a supply.
Because supply is going to come out. My thought on it, though, I think about it is even if that pop doubled, it's still significantly less than what the other guys are. And the price is already low. So you're right. I mean, you did your math on it. Here's my favorite part of this play.
Sometimes people get a little bit upset with themselves when they buy at 50 and then they see it go to 40, though.
Yeah, so
and
you
then
buy at 40,
buy
another one. It's like buying Ethereum at 2,400 and it goes all the way down to 1,700. You can lessen that blow if you buy it again at 22, at 21, at 20, at 19, all the way down to that 1,700. Then ride it back up.
If you love it at 2,400, you love it even more at 17.
That's right. Until you run out of money. That's the way it works. But here's the part about this play I love the most. When I irrationally hate somebody, it's very difficult for me to come back and like them. And good for you. Good for you for being better than me, because you have hated on Cam Reddish for quite some time, and look at how far we've come. He's now a play. You watch him play, and you say, you know what? There's some potential here. I love it.
I think people closest to me know this about me. I'm very opinionated, but I'm willing to be curious about my opinions, right? Like I grew up in a Russian Jewish family, where like dinner is a discussion and a debate about everything possible. And I saw the most miserable people are the ones that hold on to their opinions to like their deathbed.
So Russian Jewish family. Here's the debate: borscht, cold or hot?
It's not cold or hot. We argue about capitalism, communism. Is the next generation, are they lazy? Do they respect parents? My grandpa walked in the house at my aunt's house and the kids didn't get up to greet him. They were playing on the iPad. The world's coming to an end. That kind of shit.
You cut the turkey without me. All right, that's cool. I like it. So listen, do you know who the last outfielder for the Cincinnati Reds to start the All-Star game was?
I don't know the last outfielder for the Cincinnati Reds.
I love talking baseball with you. I love it. So you ever heard?
I'm such a just like a JV fan. Like I'm just such a simple fan. Like I know Joey Votto. I think he played first base. He was really good with the fans.
But how about Ken Griffey Jr.? You ever heard of that guy?
Yeah, of course.
But you didn't know he played for the Reds. Yeah, so Ken Griffey Jr. is the last Reds outfielder to start in the All-Star game until this year, right? So
why did Seattle give him up if he was so good?
Well, it's the end of his contract, and he went and signed with Cincinnati. He gave him a real hometown discount. But you know what? Seattle would tell you they did okay because Griffey had some real injury problems during that Cincinnati contract. He was one of those guys that kind of it's one of those what if stories, right? You ask who's one player you'd like to see with no injuries and see what he can do for his whole career. He's one of those. Bo Jackson is a huge one too. But so anyway, that changes this year because we've talked about Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos going to be starting his first All-Star game in outfield, and a guy named Ronald Acuna, who you've heard of too, right, is also starting. Now, can you think of other outfielders in the National League that might join those two? So Nick Castellanos from the Reds and Ronald Acuna. I mean, is there a guy in the Dodgers maybe who used to be on the Red Sox, who's like basically the second best player in baseball? You know who I'm talking about?
Mookie with the big chain.
You would think Mookie Betts would be like the guy to start the All-Star game, especially the Dodgers. It's a fan voting thing, right? And you'd have a crazy outfield of Nick Castellanos, who earned it, Ronald Acuna, and Mookie Betts. But I'm here to tell you, Mookie is not starting with those two guys. Sorry, Mookie. Mookie. It's not going to be Mookie. Do you know who's the third starting outfielder? You can't even tell me the name of 5 baseball teams, so I'm going to stop asking you questions. So here you go. Get ready for this name. It is my new favorite baseball name, not for dirty reasons. His name is Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker. Now, 99.7% of the people listening to this have never heard of Jesse Winker, and that's a good thing. You want to know why? Because the rest of the world hasn't heard of Jesse Winker. But they will hear his name soon enough because he's going to be starting the All-Star game at Coors Field very shortly. All right? Jesse Winker. No one ever graded his cards. I thought. You know what? There are some PSA Jesse Winker. Maybe his cousins. Guy's got 19 home runs, 48 RBIs. He's having an all-star season, like a legit all-star season. But he's got these peripheries, right? Not only is he mashing, not only is he playing well, but he went to school with a player for the Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo Bills were tweeting, get him on the team. Get him on the all-star team. Let's go. Get him on the team. He's part of Bills Mafia. And there's a picture of him with like a Bills jersey on. And go vote. Cincinnati Reds, vote for him. Like get out there. The Bengals, were pushing the vote for their other Cincinnati team. And he won, and he's starting, and he deserves it because he definitely has, the numbers that back it up. But here's the fun. His 2017 Topps Chrome card, people are now looking for it. So a PSA 10, because there are none of them on eBay, is over $100 because there are none, right? The base, ungraded, you can get for like $5. You get for a couple bucks. I saw for $12 the base Chrome and the Chrome update if you want to go that route because you don't know which one to go. And here's the fun. I would have no problem buying these off of StarStock. I would have no problem buying these off of ComC. I would have no problem buying these off of eBay because literally no one graded this dude, right? And you can grade him now. You can grade him if you want. Hang on to him if you want to invest in him long term. You can send them whoever grader you want. Send them to HGA if it's to get a cool color match. Send them to CSG. Send them wherever you want to go, or send them to StarStock and get them in there in a week and flip them when the world is looking for Jesse Winker because he's on the big, Coors Field All-Star Game stage. He's just one of these plays that just kind of comes out where you're like, you know what? It's a couple bucks. There's no real downside, and maybe it's a home run in the All-Star game. Maybe he actually does something good in the All-Star game, and now you're having, headlines that outside of papers in Cincinnati. So every once in a while to bring you a play, I randomly select a beat writer, right? And I'm like, whoa, look, so I'm reading about Cincinnati and a lot of Cincinnati headlines because, this year, it's an interesting thing about like teams that kind of come out of nowhere. Toronto has 3 All-Star starters, 3 first-time All-Star starters. And Vlad Guerrero at 22 years old is leading all vote getters. At 22, youngest to ever do it. Tatis also 22. And I mean, it's real fun things that go. So I started reading about the article about the Reds. Oh, the Reds have 2. The Reds have 2 first-time starters. I'm like, oh wow, look at this. This is pretty sweet. I'm like, who are the Reds 2? Because I can't name 2 Reds. I know Nick Castellanos, right? And I'm like, Jesse Winker? Who the heck is Jesse Winker? And now you guys know who he is too. And you get a jump start on everybody else. I'm not buying his cards because I don't want to be racing you to buy them. I'm not getting on StarStock right now so that I can raise the floor of this stuff up. But if you happen to be the person who listens to our episodes and listens first, downloads it first, you have your notifications on, well, you'll be able to get those Jesse Winker cards on StarStock for pennies. You'll be able to get them on eBay for $1 or $2 or $3 and probably turn them around, in the lead up to the All-Star game for some significant profit. Go for it.
He's not even in the StarStock index. And
StarStock, get it in there. Buy your stuff and get Jesse Winker in there. Whoa. Hey,
Cage, so I'm watching the game here at Switzerland, Spain. We're recording this in the morning here on July 4th weekend. You called it. It's the tournament of own goals. There was another one today, and it set the record: 10 own goals in a tournament. And then Switzerland just tied it up on was it defensive error, right? Yeah, defensive error
doesn't count as an own goal, but it's basically the same thing.
It's
a lot of sloppy play.
All right, Cage. Are we going to do a coffee with Cage this 4th of July weekend, or do you think people are busy?
No, I mean we can do it. We can figure something out. Maybe if we do it, we can kind of take a pulse of the audience out there. We'll put some messages out and tell they can let us know what you think. I mean, I saw a pretty funny tweet the other day. I'll just throw it out there. It was our friend Jimmy Guns. Remember Jimmy Guns? We had on for a while. He's on Twitter.
Jimmy Guns is not someone you can forget.
He basically was like, stop buying fireworks because it's about time that China stops making money off of our Independence Day. I was like, I never really thought about that. Here we are, spending millions of dollars on fireworks to celebrate the 4th of July, and it's really all benefiting China. It's pretty crazy. Never even thought about it.
I don't know how many people are gonna get the joke, but
what do you mean? That's because it's I think you underestimate the intelligence of Luka Nation.
All right. We'll see.
Hey guys,
they're all movie fans like you. They love movie quotes.
Andrew has some ideas.
I got shipped by our audience because I quoted Ayn Rand.
Yeah, you did. But I mean, listen, that's different. It's a little different. I mean, you quote some interesting stuff.
I
I
do.
mean, people don't realize you are the alchemist. So here's what's fun, right? Andrew's got some ideas, guys, about like merch, NFTs, cards, all kinds of stuff for Luka Nation. Give backs, utility, that kind of stuff. So we might float some ideas out there in the groups. If you're not in the groups, it might be a good time to get in so you can give you feedback about the direction of where Luka Nation is going, partnerships and all that. Like, we want to continue to bring you our podcast every day and even more YouTube videos, video clips, expansion, and never charge you guys for it. That's been what we've said since day one, and that's exactly where we want to be. So there's some fun stuff. I anticipate some announcements coming down the pike over the next couple of days. What do you think, Andrew?
My vision with the NFTs, and guys, when it's something new like this, I'm always like, how much can I learn? And I'm talking to amazing people who have done it in the past. I wanted it to be kind of like an IPO of Luka Nation Network, okay? And you guys get in. You guys have followed us from day one. You're kind of getting in on the ground floor. I really do believe that this is still the ground floor of what we're able to accomplish. And you've been able to get into them at the ground floor, getting into them at this level, and then see where we're able to be in 3 years, 5 years. I want to reward our OG group, our OG fans. So that's kind of the logic I'm going with. And I'm learning how to do it. So yeah, stay tuned, please.
All right. Happy 4th of July weekend. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.